Time. Leisure time. Did you ever stop to think how much leisure time you really have? Some of us put our leisure time to good use. And some of us, Ken Michaels, for example, spend most of our leisure time just moping.
Moping? He thinks I'm moping. Well, who wouldn't mope? There's nothing to do, nobody's around. You know how it is. I went down to the bowling alley, went over to the drugstore. None of the gang was there. All my friends are busy, so what's for me to do?
Do you suppose Ken has more leisure time than his friends do?
Huh? Well, no, I don't have more time. We all spend about the same amount of time in school, and the rest is leisure time. I've got nothing to do but wait for supper. My friends have more things to do. They're lucky.
Ken's pretty lucky, too.
Listen to that. All right, I'll bite. Why am I lucky?
Because you have so much leisure time. Time in which you can do things you enjoy. Time in which you don't have to work.
Like this, huh? Is that good?
Let me show you a few things. Suppose you had lived 100 years ago. What would you have been like? Take a look.
Where? Oh, is that me? Is that what I would have looked like 100 years ago?
Well, perhaps. But now, well, let's look back 100 years again and see someone else.
Who? Hey, that's my dad.
Young man, you get off that bed and get to work. After you clean out the stable, you can build some new steps for the back porch. While I work 72 hours a week, no son of mine is going to loaf.
72 hours?
12 hours a day, 6 days a week. Tomorrow morning, young men, you're going out to get a regular job. You can work too, and earn your keep.
Not so good, Ken? Well, let's try another picture. Say about 50 years ago.
Oh, hello, son. Well, say, I've got some new pictures for the stereoscope. We'll look at them tonight. Don't forget about your chores. Have them all done by the time I'm through work. And keep the woodbox full.
Boy, how long will you work, Dad?
Why, 10 hours. 10 hours a day, every day except Sunday.
60 hours a week? Boy.
Well, Ken, let's take a look at your father's time as it really is today.
Hi, Dad. You sure don't work as long hours as they used to.
That's right, Ken. It's a wonderful thing to be able to do so much work in so little time. This 40-hour week suits me fine. And some people even work shorter hours nowadays. But by the way, Ken, how would you like to play a quick round of golf before supper? I think we can work it in. And then later I'd like to shellac that new bookcase I'm making.
Well, Ken?
Yes, Dad does enjoy his leisure time. And to think that a few years ago, people didn't have nearly so much time to themselves.
Yes, we've gained a lot of leisure time in the last century or so. All of us.
Wait a minute. All of us? Mother should hear you say that. She's always complaining that she doesn't have enough time.
Well, let's see about that. Can you picture your mother as she might have been 50 years ago?
I guess so.
Why, that's hard work. It takes so much time, too. But that's woman's lot in life. Scrub clothes, carry water, bake bread, feed the chickens, till time to go to bed and then get up again to start all over again.
You see, Ken? Now, how about today?
My, this new washer certainly is a time saver. And I do need some extra time. Now, let's see, I want to do some shopping, but this first.
Wait a minute. This may be easier work, but it still looks like work.
Oh, well, I have to plan the program for the Women's Club next month. That's one of my favorite activities, you know. It does keep me busy, but, well, that's not work.
What do you think, Ken?
Well, Mother does have more leisure time now. But still, she's always busy. How does she find so many things to do? How can I find something to do with my extra time? Or for that matter, what about you? I don't know. It seems as if leisure time is a problem.
Well, let's see how your friends have met that problem.
I told him once my friends were all busy. Oh, busy. They have something to do with their time. Let's see. Last I saw of Dave, he was headed that-a-way.
You mean this way? Yes. Dave has a hobby of identifying birds. It's a pleasant way of spending his time, and besides, it helps him with some of his schoolwork. You can learn quite a bit from hobbies. Here's Bill. Some of his leisure time is spent doing part-time work at the bookstore. Along with earning some spending money, he's getting experience that will help him later on. And Alice is devoting some of her leisure to learning to sew. That's something she'll be glad she did when she's older. And right now, she gets a big kick out of it. Here's the way Marge spends some of her leisure time. She's learning to play the piano. She's getting a lot of pleasure from her own accomplishment, and she's acquiring a skill that will help her socially. And some of the fellows spend their time in group activities that are building them up physically, as well as providing them with a lot of fun.
So that's what they're all doing. No wonder I couldn't find them. I'll bet you think I should figure out something to do with my time. The question is, how will I know it's the right kind of thing? How will I know I'm using my time well?
Your father mentioned a bookcase he was making, didn't he? Remember how he worked at it last night? Mr. Michaels, you gain 3 important things from your hobby, don't you?
Do I? All I know is this is a pleasant change from my work, and I'm...
Here we are. My name is now Sisyphus Euphranor. And I'm the first and last philosopher VTuber. The first and last book rock pusher. That's the idea. The idea is I am now the first and last boulder pusher in Alexandria as well. Hello, already have to go? I'm sorry. I am sorry for my exclusively American-friendly time zone of streaming. How'd you like it, by the way? I loved it. I thought it was fucking awesome. Thank you for drawing it. I haven't posted it yet, because, well, there's no reason, I just haven't yet. But I'll probably post it like later today or tomorrow at most, probably. But thank you for drawing it. It's fucking great. I love the sparkles you added towards the end as well. But yeah, the vibe hits. I don't know how else to describe it other than the vibe really hits for me. I feel like the other fan arts I've received so far, and you drew one as well, prior to this, were very much like kind of like a viewer's and like kind of a viewer interpretation of a stream, whereas I think the one you drew recently was like a viewer's interpretation of how I interpret the stream. And I don't know if that was like your intent or that just kind of happened, but either way, I love it. Either way, it's great. So thank you. Thank you for the fan art. I'll post it later in a bit for anyone who's not in the Discord. Though I think at this point, most people who are in the lives have already been to the Discord. They already know. Is my mouse? I think my mouse is like out of battery. I need to charge it. Or keeping it charged. Now you may be wondering, Charis Euphranor, what are we doing? Haven't we done enough rock pushing yet? You've already pushed the rock for like every day now. And you've already gotten it to the top. So what even is the point of doing it again? When you've already gotten it to the top once? Well. What's the point of anything? I'll ask you. What is the point of pushing the rock in the first place? Is it to get it to the top? So what if it goes to the top? It rolls back to the bottom again, doesn't it? Rock pushing purgatory. Going for a smug scholar vibe. I like it. I think it works. But yeah, I appreciate it. And it's one of the few things. Maybe I'll just talk about it, right? But it's probably one of the best things that social media has like, and it's the only reason why I haven't uninstalled all of social media in like pretty much everything I use. At least the biggest reason I can justify it to myself is like fan art is fucking great. Not just like, you know, my fan art, obviously, although that's the best stuff. It's also like just whenever like I engage with a fandom or a community of people, I don't really want to hear what they have to say. Like I don't really care what people are talking about. I don't really care what people's opinions are. I don't want to see like many things that I want to see that like, you know, get tossed around in fandoms and communities. But the one thing, it doesn't matter if I even like that particular fandom or not. The one thing I always want to see more of is like, I want to see more fan art. It's like, it's a window to the soul of the community, because it's one of the few, because you can't just, here's the thing, right? Like when you have like a fandom or community or like a thing, like a hobby, an interest that revolves around like a specific, like a fandom, I guess is the only other, I can't really explain the word fandom. It's at its like, the word is at its most like atomic state, so I can't really like spend any more words trying to explain that word beyond just like, you gotta experience it a bit for yourself. But like a lot of times, you know, people will like something or they won't like something. Oh fuck. And maybe they'll express it in an angry tweet or two. Maybe they'll talk about it on their like YouTube channels if they're like a YouTuber or a content creator. Maybe they'll mention those things on stream, etc, etc. There's a lot that's like, oh shit. There's like quite a few ways you can see like people express their like how they feel about a game. But I think the best way, or at least in my opinion, the most interesting way that has to be expressed. What's going? Oh, oh damn. Wait. Oh, that's beautiful. Is through fan art. It's because it's like other things, like you can type up a tweet like quickly. You can make a 10-minute video like ranting or talking about something. Fan art's cool. Favors tier lists and memes that are only understood. I think tier lists and memes are like good too, but I like fan art a bit more because I think for tier lists and memes it doesn't take that much. Like it doesn't necessarily, because there are bad memes, as maybe is like my point in this, because like there are bad memes or tier lists that are made from people who don't understand the essence of a fandom. And a lot of times the more popular a fandom is, I've never struggled this hard. Maybe it's because like I just don't care if the rock goes up the hill at this point in the game. I'm just here to push it. But a lot of times like there can be bad like or like unfunny memes. There could be unfunny like tier lists. There could be unfunny like things that people make that's like, okay, it's clear that you didn't even grasp the concept of the thing we're engaging with. Like, I don't like this at all. But I feel like most fan art is like, even if it is bad, there's so much effort put into it that you know it's like, for example, it's something that someone has spent a lot of time doing. Like that is a necessity. Fan art can never be like easy, even if it's like bad or like I don't think there's such a thing as bad art. There's bad art though, like pro ship fan art. Shit. Oh. It's like, it may be disagreeable, but I don't think it's bad at the end of the day. Because at least it's like, this is still the person's soul. Like, this is a real person, and these are their thoughts. Like, if they drew something, even if you disagree with it, you at least will be like, okay, but I can see the window through their soul. By bad, I mean it disgusts me. Yeah, that's fine, but it's like, to me, at least, some stuff can, like, you know, that might happen, but at least it's like, it's a real, authentic human expression, you know what I mean? Whereas, like, for example, like, someone who's fucking dumb, who makes, like, a tier list meme, who just, you know, doesn't put any effort in, you can't really see what their thoughts are or how they feel about something. You can't really see that. Because it's just like, there's not a lot of personality or soul window. Why do I keep fucking this part up? I keep fucking this part up. Man. I myself want to draw because I can just practice while indulging in fave media. It's good friends. But yeah, and if you're an artist, like, you know, I guess that's extra good. But I'm someone who doesn't draw, right? Like, that's how I feel about it. It's like, even if I don't have the element of like benefiting from this because, well, benefiting from the use of fan art, I'm gonna drop the ball again. I'm not actually never going to do that. It's like, it's a window, like, I can see exactly how they feel. If they're shipping characters in a way, I'm like, oh, well, now I know this is how part of the fandom feels. If they're drawing, like, if they're putting various characters in various situations or positions or reimaginings or AUs or whatever, you can be like, oh, now I understand that this is what people think of when they consume this media that I consume. Again, you don't really get that with like bad memes or like bad tier lists or whatever, right? Because with that meme, you're just like, this guy wasn't paying attention at all. Okay, this guy's an idiot. But he doesn't, like, I guess what I'm trying to say is like, oh, fuck. That's not what I'm trying to say. I guess what I'm trying to say is like, you need to be a certain amount of like passionate to draw fan art because it takes so much goddamn time to draw. Oh dear. Oh dear. Where's it going now? Where is it? Oh, there it is. Oh dear. And my favorite part of any fandom is like watching the fan art and the meme. The fan art and the memes, they're the two things that I look for in a fandom to understand the community. If I want to figure out what people are thinking or saying, like how people are responding to this, that's where I go. So the fact that there's, you know, like, or when something is like really good, I enjoy it for what it is. Like this art, this product, this game, whatever this is, this film, this TV show, this anime series. But then if the fandom is like, you know, a certain way, that does like put me off from the thing I'm engaging in. It does make me feel like, you know what, maybe it's not that good, or maybe people are missing the point. Why are they missing the point? What's going on? Ball went everywhere but where it was supposed to. Where is it supposed to go? Where's the ball supposed to go? You think I've had more pro ship on time, but instead it's 15-year-olds with Project Sekai. PFP's getting angry at pro shippers. It's just like, yeah, like I don't want to get into arguments. I don't care about what anyone's take is on anything. It matters to me not. Unless they're like a person with an established reputation for not being a complete nincompoop. In which case, okay, I'll hear them out. But otherwise, it's like, I don't want to see it. But fan art, I always want to see. Even if it's fan art that's disagreeable. And even if it's fan art that's like, you know, not as technically skilled, for example. Like some people, I know some people don't like to see fan art that's not like, that doesn't have a, or like people like who really appreciate a much higher like technical skill in fan artists. But I personally like even stuff that's not as like quote unquote skilled, right? Like I still enjoy consuming because to me it's like it's kind of like you see the drawing on, it's like the drawing on the fridge. You motherfucker. Oh my god. Okay. Like the drawing on the fridge by the kid, right, is not like a work of art. It's over. Oh, it's in fact quite ugly, but you look at that and like it speaks to your soul, doesn't it? Like, doesn't the fucking the crayon drawing on the fridge speak to the soul? It does, because you're like, this kid felt this way. Like this is the clearest window into their like what their mind and their soul is like. I keep saying window to the soul. I've said it like 3 times, but there's no other way to make my point, is there? It really is that. That's exactly what it is. Some of the coolest fan art I've ever seen is Andy and Lily, and then half of it's AI. Yeah, and then like AI. So this is gonna be, I say all of this and I make these considerations, like, and then at some point I'm inevitably gonna be like, and then AI art has to come in and ruin it. I hate it. I can't, like, I really want to make sure when I rant about AI, it comes from a place of like compassion towards what is rather than a hate of what is. Like, I'm not motivated by like spite. I'm not like, you know, fuck AI, I hate it because I just want to hate it and it's popular to hate on. No, I dislike the use of generative AI in fan art because I love fan art. I love it, and like it's such an integral part of any fandom and community experience that like now that is now almost being permanently sullied, because now I can't know, because AI is getting, and I think it's at this point gotten so good that I can't tell it's AI anymore for like the really good, the really like, not when I say good I mean like not like it's the quality of the product, but more like, because you know, let's face it, if it's AI generated, it's not a work of art, it's a product. But more like its ability to mimic what is otherwise highly technical and skillful artistic creation, especially because I am someone who's fooled by this shit. Like nowadays, like it used to be like, oh, obviously that's AI art, and you can tell that some fucking idiot generated it with like Wall-E or like DALL-E, sorry, with like a DALL-E or like, you know, Midjourney or whatever other like generator there is, or like ChatGPT, right? And then now it's so good, you can't, it's so much harder to tell. Or now it's so good at mimicking what is good. It's good at mimicking what's good. That's the mouthful way of me putting it. That I can't trust my senses anymore, dude. I'm not an artist. I don't know. I can't. Like, I have a philosophy degree, which I think in many cases is classified as an arts subject or like a humanities, but like, you know, I've never picked up the tablet and learned how to draw. I never even picked up the crayon and learned how to draw. When I was a lot younger, and like, you know, we were all given the crayons and the art books and shit, I didn't like draw anything, or I tried to, but I never got good at drawing shit. I ended up just like what did I do? Like I picked up the crayons. I didn't eat them. There were some people that ate them, okay? I was not that person. I wasn't the person that ate I wasn't the crayon eater, okay? But I definitely saw people do that, okay? But it wasn't me. I was probably the... You know what I did actually? I would like stack up the crayons. I would just put them together and try to like make structures with the crayons instead of drawing the book. And then I would get told like, no, you're supposed to use these to draw in the book. And I'm like, I don't like drawing. I fucking hate drawing on a piece of paper. I can't, I'm not only am I bad at it, I also just don't really enjoy it. And if I have to draw something, it's gonna suck. And I'm not gonna be happy the whole time. I'm gonna be like, yeah, I'm drawing a circle. Oh, this circle sucks. And I draw like 2 eyeballs. And I'm like, these eyeballs suck too. And then I'm critiquing my own 5-year-old crayon drawing as I'm drawing it as a 5-year-old. Like, that's not... I was not cooking. I was never cooking. And I knew that, like, right out the gate. I was under no illusions. Used to like drawing, but then got discouraged because I wasn't good at it right away and liked to immediately be good at something. I feel that. I was like that for some things, but art was one of the things where like it's not only that I wasn't immediately good at it, I also just didn't like it at all. Even if I could be good, I wouldn't like it. Yeah, art is soulless. That's exactly it. It's like it's so there's nothing there, you know. Like I just can't get it. And if you can trick me, like, I don't think that's a gotcha moment. Like, I don't think you can be like, haha, Charis Euphranor is a hypocrite because he says he hates AI art. But then, like, maybe there's this one tweet he likes that turns out to be AI art. Yeah, because I don't know that it is. I can't tell. I'm not good enough to be able to tell. But that doesn't mean there's no difference. Just because I can't tell there's a difference doesn't mean there's no difference. Like bacteria aren't just not real just because you can't see them under a fucking microscope, right? Like, that's the same fucking idea. It's gonna be the final straw to bring me completely offline. I mean, yeah, I feel it. Because, like, and obviously, you know, it's extended beyond just visual arts, like artwork. It's also into, like, videos and all of that, which I've talked about and ranted about previously. But, like, I don't want it to be another just rant, like the Wander Stop stream where I just ranted about, like, the Ghibli art AI for, like, an hour or two. Like, this is coming from my soul. Like, you got it. You understand. I'm not preaching to you, but it's like I have to express my frustrations and articulate them clearly, so the next time I ever need to, I have had practice. But like, I can't believe that, like, I don't know. Okay, there's got to be something with the Thunderbolt. I don't know what it is, but I'll figure it out, I guess. But like this previously beautiful thing, like, which is just the creation of fan art, is now being sullied irreparably. And I do mean irreparably, because these consequences will last forever. This is another Pandora's box that's been opened. It's gonna last forever. Like, these things that I enjoyed, I love so much about fandoms, about communities, about things, are eventually gonna like go away, and that sickens me. It does. It makes me feel awful. I think to myself, I can't fucking believe that, like, this thing I enjoyed so much and is part of the reason why I got into things. Like, I would try new games, I would watch new anime, I would enjoy films I previously wouldn't have, just because of these community engagements and how powerful they are. Just because I wanted to see more fan art and get more fan art, get more memes, get more jokes. Like, I wanted to just be a part of that thing, and now that is being threatened. Well, not just now as in, like, you know, it could go away. It's never going away. AI art's never going away. It's only gonna get more convincing, and it's only gonna get easier, and people are only gonna get fucking dumber. I don't see where the wake up point is for people who use this shit, or like just have this like extremely what's the word? technocentric like view of the world, where they just like progress to them is just how good the latest technology is, and it's like that can't just be it, right? You let a computer compile millions of people's work. So even if the computer did not compile work, even if the computer wasn't actually drawing from work of real people and just stealing from them, even if it wasn't, you know, shoving an acre of forest, like of rainforest wood into like the furnace every time you asked it, you know, what that person's name was that you met at the coffee shop last week, like even if none of those terrible things were happening, I still like it has no impact on my opinion here, which is like you are destroying this experience nonetheless that we all share as people. I can't believe that. And you know what is the worst part that's come out of all of this is like I'm trying to reconcile that with the fact that I was actually a little bit excited about this stuff like maybe 3 years ago. I think maybe 3 years ago, yeah. 4 years ago, I was so excited for it. I remember thinking to myself, oh my god, I can't wait to be able to generate like a D&D dragon for my own campaign with my friends instead of having to, you know, commission an artist and draw it. I can just type it in a prompt and then I can see what's going on. I need to reconcile this with a part of myself. There's a part of myself that is like, you know, somewhere deep inside, you know, like somewhere there, what is like a Charis Euphranor that once was kind of chill with AI art, and I need to figure out exactly what happened, or else I'm not going to move past this. Because I can't just uncritically like hate something and not like think about it, or not try to be honest with myself. Like, am I just hating on it because it's fun to hate on it now? Am I hating on it because the people who like it are cringe? Am I hating it? Like, why am I hating it? And why did I used to not hate it? Because I used to not hate it. I didn't hate it enough that I actually, you know, ultimately decided to use it. Granted, specifically because it was AI, not just because it was convenient. But I specifically did, like, use AI art, for example, in my, like, debut trailer. How come? I don't know yet. Or maybe I do know and I have yet to articulate it, so maybe allow me the first, like, I've already spent 30 minutes on the stream, but maybe allow me the first hour to articulate my own personal thoughts on this issue. Because I don't want to blindly hate. I don't want to do that. I don't want to just hate because it's popular to hate, or it's easy to hate, and because all the people who like it are cringe. That I think is a little too easy. It's bad for the audience as well, because now people will say an artist's work is AI when it isn't. So you have to show proof with your drawing. Yeah, exactly. It's like, that's the irreparable damage I mean. Like, not just the possibility that every work could be AI in the future, but that allowing, or that like building into the skepticism that people will always forever have, and this erosion of trust we have between people. It's just one more thing that we now can't trust each other with. Now we can't trust each other online to... We cannot trust one another in good faith to know that, oh, they didn't use AI, because, well, what if they did? We don't know. We have, like, do you have a behind the scenes progress thing? Do you have that? And you know, the worst part is that's not a permanent solution, even if you did have that, even if you had like a time lapse of whatever you were doing, because in the future you could just generate that too. Like, that is not out of the realm of possibility. It's a little harder now because we haven't, the need for it, or the demand for it hasn't happened yet, thankfully. But eventually there will be. That's gonna really suck. Oh man. What if you forced me to learn drawing for like a week? You wouldn't get anything out of it. I would just like tap on the screen. Like, I would just be quietly watching like a YouTube lesson, maybe, is what I would do. What? Where'd it go? Okay. Okay. That's what that is. Alright. Okay. Oh. I was wondering what that did, and now I know. Let me just... I want to see if I got all the achievements now. I need one more. Flipping the bird. How do you get the flipping the bird achievement? I need to know how to get the flipping the bird achievement. Flipping the bird. Press F? Oh! There was a lot of gusto in that too. Ah. I see. People already age on generating drawing time lapses. Are they already doing that? I didn't know that. I'm a little... Oh god, okay. They're even using it in art schools now? I was not aware. I just, like, you know... Because eventually, like, the way I see it, right, is like... This is going to lead to people just being more and more disenfranchised with... and alienated from what they're doing already. Like, you're not... And I think you're just kind of going through like a almost like numbing process. Of like, oh, well, everyone's like art is AI now, so what's the point of enjoying this thing? That's like, you know, like maybe I should just accept that humans are not as good as the machines we've created. And then everything you consume, the podcast you have is fucking ChatGPT generated as well. The whole thing is fucked. The whole thing is so fucked, man. Ugh. But enough like ranting and complaining about it. I need to like actually figure out like what I want to do, like how I want to respond to this, because like right now all my response is just like, man, this sucks, I want to complain about it in a live stream, and people are gonna watch and be like, yeah, we know we don't like it. But you know, you got to move on from it. You have to kind of, you can't just trap yourself in that AI bad rhetoric. Not because AI isn't bad or whatever, but because, you know, if it is bad, then what am I going to do about it? I can't decide between doing art and going to bed. You should go to bed, probably. But if you feel so compelled to draw stuff, you should totally do that. Especially because you're good. Well, not especially, but like... Actually, yeah, no, especially because you're good. And it doesn't seem like you're good because it's like, you know, natural talent or whatever. It seems like you're good because you have put a lot of effort into, you know, being better. That's what it strikes like to me. Because there's like a difference. That's like one of the things as well I've learned over the... You know what? Okay, you know what really struck it home for me actually? Was like I was playing Fire Emblem Three Houses. That was what kind of like sealed it. But you'd never want to compliment someone from being like talented, I think. Like I feel like that's a bit demeaning. Or like, maybe not demeaning, but if it's like not interesting. Interesting? It's not soulful. It's like people, because talent is just like, oh, you just have it, right? Is the idea. And I feel like it's dismissive a lot of people's efforts. And I didn't really consciously put it into words until I played like Fire Emblem Three Houses. And there was a dialogue between Lysithea, one of the characters in the Golden Deer, and your character, I think, or was it another character? I don't remember. Of like your player character Byleth, where Lysithea kind of goes like, I forgot what the context is, but she expresses her hatred for people complimenting her like talent, because her talent is in like magic or whatever, because that's just saying, oh wow, you were born with these traits, that's great. That's not a compliment. Like, they didn't choose to be born with those traits. They didn't choose to be born with, like, you know, maybe I don't want to say natural, but like a gifted proficiency at something. Like, that's not what they chose. But what they chose to do maybe was, in their own time, refine their skill, refine what they were proficient at. And that's a lot more meaningful as a compliment. So I learned this from a video game, unfortunately. Or I knew the concept, I just didn't know how to articulate it until I played this particular video game, and I was like, that's exactly what I wanted to articulate. Because I've gotten like, I don't know about you guys, right? I hope this is relatable, and I'm not about to just say something that alienates everyone who's here. Wasn't it her proficiency in magic due to a double crest? Yeah, exactly. So it's like, you know, it's stuff that's out of her control or whatever. The reason she was touchy was because she got forcibly experimented on. Well, that's like, it's like a double thing. I think I might be mixing it up, because I think maybe it's not her proficiency with magic, but it's more just her proficiency in like learning stuff. That when there's like an option to compliment her, to say like, oh wow, you're so talented, or something, and then she will be like, I hate when people say that because I don't like, that's not a compliment to me. Like, I would rather you compliment me on my effort and my hard work that I've put in, instead of just say, wow, it must have been really easy for you because you're so smart, huh? I fucking like that. That's the thing. That's the thing that resonates with me, I guess. Because I don't know if anyone here relates to this at all, but being complimented for being smart doesn't really like... It's empty. It's an empty compliment. Sometimes it feels. And someone's like, wow, you're so smart at this thing. You're so good. You're like... Or like, you're so, I don't know. Maybe I live on a different plane, but I never really paid attention to the compliments that were about things out of my control. Like, if I got compliments on, like, you know, and that's not often, but if I get compliments of like maybe the way I look, it's like, well, I didn't choose really to look that way, or like features of myself that were not really things I chose. Like, I was just kind of born with. That's his mistake. That's a mistake for sure. I didn't like those compliments. I didn't like the compliments that are like, oh wow, you're so smart, Charis. Okay, because it's like, that doesn't say anything. That doesn't say anything to me. I was a lot happier with compliments that, and there were very few of those, but compliments that were actually sincere and noted not just like, you know, what I had, but what I put in effort to achieve, for example. That shit. That's good. That's what I want to hear. Compliments to the egg factory. Yeah, it's like compliments to the chef. But I was the waiter serving the dish. I didn't make the dish. And you get backhanded compliment like you're smart for it. I don't think I've ever gotten backhanded compliments like that. No, I have. Yeah, I have. I've definitely gotten backhanded compliments that are like, yeah, I have. And I just accept the fact that it's not a compliment, and that's fine. Like, if if it's I have an easier time dealing with insult than I have with compliment anyway, so it works out for me. I just think of it as like BM, and I, you know, I think, okay, all right. This time I can't relate because I'm lazy. I'm lazy for most things, but there's when I really care about something, I put effort in. And when someone notices that I put effort into stuff that I'm not usually lazy about, that makes me feel good, because that tells me that when I put in an effort for something, it really does matter and people can notice. And it's encouraging because it's like, oh, I can't just phone it in. I have to actually try hard. Did you break Parrot? I did not break Parrot, I realized, but I think Parrot is... Parrot's in his cage right now. I think I haven't let him out of his cage yet. Give me a second. I didn't even realize. Thank you for pointing it out. Where are you, you fuck? There he is. I think it should work. I think he's fine now. Yeah. I think I accidentally gagged him. Or I forgot to ungag him. Shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Okay, push it forward for me. I'll take by like being confident in appearance and intelligence stuff because it reassures you that I'm worthy as a human being. I'm not gonna disagree with your feelings because that's not like something to disagree with. That's just how you feel. But I want to hypothesize that you might enjoy a compliment. Is my fucking game also? I just no, it's fine. It's fine. No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm not. Sorry. I'm like now I'm stressing out about the stream. I completely forgot this. But I want to like hypothesize that you would enjoy a compliment a lot more if it were directed towards your efforts rather than just what you had. It was like the effort you put in, or like something that you consciously made the decision to do instead of something that was just a subconscious trait of yourself. I want to imagine that a compliment like that would like be more validating and more reassuring, but I don't know. I'm not saying like, because it's like I get that people are, and I think a lot of this is just goes for anyone, like because we, well, I don't want us to speculate on why, but many people, if not everyone, if not pretty much everyone on the planet, right, needs/seeks validation just in one form or another. And it's merely the case that right now, with the advent of social media technology, is when we see that in the most like laid out on paper, I suppose, right? It takes the form of like, you know, Twitter likes or like TikTok views or whatever. It's only now that it's obvious, like it's only with these things that it's obvious, but I feel like it's always been the case. That's a dangerous thing to say because I'm trying to assert a premise without any sort of backing. Maybe it can be a heuristic. Yeah, let's call it a heuristic, okay? I'm not confident it's the case, but I'm going to just operate under the assumption that it is as a heuristic, and if the heuristic fails, then all of this falls apart, of course. But I'm assuming that the heuristic works, and I'm assuming that it's an uncontroversial opinion to have. I'm assuming that we all kind of are on the same boat here. I think we all want validation. We all want, like, you know, to be noticed and to be like as a person, and to be validated for who we are and the choices we make and everything we do. But I think that it's unhealthy to just wait. Sorry, I'm lagging a bit, so I need to disable my certain things so my game runs smoother. Okay. But it's like, you know, what hits... Does an Instagram like feel good? Yeah, it probably does. I can relate. But like, does it feel nearly as good as someone, you know, instead of just liking it, they're also like DMing you afterwards the post going like, oh my god, that's such a great picture. Holy shit, I love that. Haha. And then like, hey, let's catch up sometime and hang out. Like that is worth 1,000 likes to me. What type of compliment does a high five fall under? Depends on the context, right? Is the context like you just finished something and then you're high-fiving someone? Oh, that's like a good job. Okay, we did it. We finished this thing, right? I don't know. You're just kind of passing by. It's sort of a general like I see you thing to me.
I think the like versus DM comparison isn't equivalent though. You're not comparing apples or oranges, you're comparing an apple with a really fucking tasty apple.
What? Okay. Let me think about this. No, but I'm comparing them on the grounds of like, this is just a form of like validation, right? I'm comparing it in the sense that like, what is more validating as someone's response? Because these are for the same post on an Instagram post. Let's say you do like a photo dump, maybe not a photo dump, but you do like a carefully curated selection of photos you took from like an experience or like a certain just a year, right? There are multiple ways to respond to a post. You can like a post, you can comment on a post, or you can like, you know, send the post, I think, or share the post. To me, the biggest like point, because I get, well, I'll receive like that slight hit of validation when someone likes it. I'll be like, yeah, that's a hit, you know, that's a validation hit. But if someone comments something, it used to be a bit more of a validation boost, but nowadays it's kind of just become like kind of generic comments that are whatever to me. But when someone, you know, goes through the effort to like send a DM like, oh my god, this is so cool, how did you do that, or you know, like, this is really great, and it leads to like a whole ass conversation, that to me is like still the same.
I think my priorities are just different because I didn't get compliments on appearance or talent or whatever as a kid, LMAO.
It could be. I don't know. We're all exploring here. I don't think I'm not gonna assert I have a universal truth. Unlike most philosopher VTubers, which are none of them actually. Unlike most people who do philosophy, I really don't like asserting universal truths, or rather, I try not to. I do commit the mistake of doing that because that's what you do inevitably as a philosophy student, but like, it's so different for different people. Fully got polished? Yeah, this is a marble glow up, it is. Yeah, that's why the boulder's white. That's why the boulder's white. Don't think Instagram likes or something, people just like stuff like robots. Yeah, exactly, that's what I'm saying. It's like, you maybe that's not what I'm saying, but I agree with that, and maybe that's something I'll lead into, is like, it used to be the case that I enjoyed, or I liked the idea of like Instagram likes, or rather like those Instagram likes would give me a shot of dopamine the same way like a comment would. A comment would give me a big shot. Now it's like neither of those things do it anymore. That I've completely just voided myself off of these platforms because I'm like, I don't want these compliments. I don't care. They're empty and hollow. They're not really like, you're not seeing the person. They're just seeing like a curated, fabricated sense of myself. 100% understand, just have different priorities. That's like, would you prefer, if you had to choose, would you rather get like, you know, a compliment that's like, wait, hold on. I want to scroll back to something you said earlier that I think I missed. Still think if someone said my eyeliner is perfect, I wouldn't appreciate it as much as you have really pretty eyes. Interesting. Because I feel the opposite. I don't know how many people feel that way. But most people in my life, that I know personally, tend to prefer like compliments that are about like what you've done, and rather than like, you know, oh, you have pretty eyes, or like, or whatever. I keep saying or whatever too much. I need to cut it out of my vocabulary before it's too late. Before it's too, I'm gonna devolve. I'm gonna say it for maybe 2-3 more streams. And then it's gonna be permanently ingrained in my vocabulary. And I can't have that. I need to be concise in my language. I need to stop myself from falling into bad habits. It's either that or just saying brain rot words in general. Or words that don't mean much to me. Maybe. Like 51.49. It just depends on the day. Interesting. I don't know. I find hollow compliments like uninteresting. Now I'm thinking about it. Maybe you would appreciate the eyeliner comment more. I would do that. I don't know about you, but I would appreciate the eyeliner comment a lot more. Plus, it's also just like, you know, it's easy to just say shit. Like, there's a tier list of compliments somewhere out there. I'm sure someone's already done it. I'm not interested in doing it already, but like, to me at least, the bottom tier is like stuff that's not only generic but also doesn't show that they're paying attention to me as a person, because it could just be like, wow, your hair is great, and it's like, well, I actually just didn't, my hair was not especially what I tried. You know, it's kind of, you know what it's like? It's kind of like, and I understand that, and I'm not trying to enforce this heteronormative dynamic, but I have to mention this because this is the only way I've been exposed to it. But it's kind of like, you know, imagine you're a dude in like a straight couple, and your girlfriend is asking you like, do you notice what's different today? Or if you're like the girlfriend in like a straight relationship, or like just with a friend, it doesn't have to be a relationship with someone. Like, it could just be like you're with someone else, like a friend, and you could be like, hey, do you know what I've been doing differently today? And if the person like goes, did you know, you got a new, like, maybe you got like a new like piercing or something, and they're like, oh, did you get a haircut? And you're like, and then you haven't gotten a haircut in 5 years, so like that answer is just nonsensical. That's what I mean. That's what I'm reaching at. That's what I'm trying to say. Philosopher trying not to yap challenge. I mean, what the hell am I gonna do if I'm not gonna yap for a Sisyphus stream? Makes you think they're hollow compliments. I'm not saying they are necessarily. I'm saying I don't know if they aren't, because I know a compliment is not hollow if. Okay, actually, no. You're right. That's a good point. That's a good point. You caught me there. Because someone can pay attention to what you're doing and give you a compliment that is genuine, like that, like, you know, that shows that they're paying attention, but it could still be hollow anyways. Like, they didn't mean it. Like, they could have noticed something that was done to your hair and they think it sucks, but they could have been like, hey, you did something to the hair, it's great, right? That could be hollow too. My response to that is like, that's a good point. I don't know, and I misspoke when I used the word hollow. That's not like the proper use of that word, I think. Going at a bar said you're so pretty, you remind me of Audrey Hepburn, and it stuck with me. Yeah, because it's like, it's not just, oh, you're pretty, because it's like a compliment that anyone could cook up. Like, this is not a lot of, but like a, oh, you remind me of someone is a lot more personal. Or like, you made me feel or think this way, that's also not very generic, right? It requires some, it's not something you can look up on like pickuplines.com or whatever. Fuck, I said it again. It's not something you can get on pickuplines.com. I don't think it's that generic. Unless, you know, you turn around, that person's saying that to like every other patron at the bar, then maybe it's like generic. Oh, don't do that. I think. Okay. Okay. I love saying, did you get a haircut to people who have really long hair? Oh. Yeah, compliments on specific attributes are less hollow than just your... Exactly. That's the idea, is like there's some amount of attention paid.
_cheer LOL.
And that's kind of like... That to me is worth 1,000... Like, a quality compliment is worth 1,000 generic compliments. 100,000. Honestly, not even the right comparison. Something that is generic just doesn't... Like, I'm not impressed. I'm very... Maybe I'm just a philosophy major who's crossing his arms going like, I'm not impressed. No. No, I don't think so. No. Maybe that's me. Being told you smell good. Exactly. It's like, it's whatever the hell you put effort in. If someone notices it, that hits a lot better than whatever you just didn't care about. And to me, it goes as far as like, if it's a compliment that's not really like something I tried to put an effort in and paid attention to, then I don't care. I don't care at all. Or if no one did. Right? I don't know how we got to this topic. I was talking about like fan art. I don't remember how we got here. But like, you need to, like, surely, okay, and nowadays it's only worse. I remember now. I remember what I was gonna say. Now it's only getting worse because everyone can ChatGPT their way to success. So the floor has gone up, because the floor is no longer just something that's like insane, right? The floor is now whatever your latest generative AI can generate. Like, whatever, ChatGPT, write me a pickup line that doesn't sound like it's from a scammer pickup artist prompt. Sure, okay, here's 5 pickup lines, and then it's like the top result of Reddit or something. Fuck, I did it again. It's the top result of Reddit. Unimpressed. I'm unimpressed, extremely so. I want whatever that thing is to be the most like, how do I say this? Either don't do it or commit to it. Put effort in, or just don't do it. The mediocrity that comes with like generative stuff is annoying, but it's not but that itself is like, or rather the mediocrity itself is already annoying. The fact that mediocrity comes now at the push of fingertips because someone is just like that lazy, that is extra annoying. Maybe that's why I hate AI now, because I used to think of AI in a really optimistic, like, oh my god, we're gonna solve cancer, we're gonna be able to, like, you know, figure out how like unpredictable market graphs, the through line for that, so that economies are going to be more stable in the future, and the way we manage and the way governments respond to certain things and seasons in the world. We're all going to be more informed in our purchasing decisions because AI is going to be able to help us analyze and compare all the different options for orange juice or apple juice, and then I'll be able to see what I want for myself the most. And then because of that, that's going to eliminate deceptive business practices. It's going to eliminate people who lie on their packaging, or and then when I'm on YouTube, AI can help me analyze what slop is and help me avoid it. There's so many things I was thinking that AI could do. I never actually thought what AI, like what people would use AI for, until the generative era.
Odora, hey girl, don't get it twisted. I am very happy to see you, but this is also indeed a knife in my pants.
happy to see me thing is like, never mind. I was gonna talk. I don't think it's worth talking about. I was gonna say, it's not worth it. Never mind. It's not worth it. I was gonna talk about like how some people are not happy to see you. It's just like a physiobiological reaction that just happens to not just stimuli, but sometimes just randomly entirely. You know, I've always wondered what would happen if I did this. Because I know what happens when you push it up to the top. But like, what if you just... Let me see. Are we at the middle yet? Yeah, we are. Oh wow, it doesn't even touch any of the glass. Whoa. Oh. Oh. I hate that I can't tab out right now. Hmm. I really wanted to go back to the start. That's what I want. Oh, it's beautiful. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't this just incredible? Oh, it's got even more distance. Yes. I wish I did this the first time around. I wish I did this the first time around to make a bigger point. I was too weak. If I were a stronger philosopher VTuber, I would have done that the first time around. But I didn't. I wonder if this is like the way it happens every time. Like, I wonder if this is... You know what I mean? Like, how much of this is random and how much of this is like... Because of the exact angle of the way the ball fell, like this was destined to happen. We certainly know that the golem trigger resets it. So it could be either that the fall and momentum is random and the golem is, or one or the other. Stronger or more masochistic? Why? Why is there pain in this? I feel nothing but freedom. I do. I'm at peace. You know what I wanted to do for so long that I just didn't prepare well to do it, but you know, I've thought enough about it anyways. Let me just get this up.
Rock conquered.
Because if I didn't do that, I feel like I would not have conquered myself. I had to do that to conquer myself. Where is it? No, not this. Here we are. Is it? Let's see.
Have
The
you
Myth of
decided the
Sisyphus,
mod situation?
Albert Camus, 1913 to 1966. Both Sartre and Camus were active in the French Resistance and both won the Nobel Prize for Literature. Camus's brilliant novel, The Stranger, superbly delineates the existential themes
Have you
of
decided the mod
absurdity,
situation? Yes, I have.
anguish, despair, and alienation. But Camus always denied that he was an existentialist. He claimed instead that the world was so absurd that the philosopher should logically contemplate suicide. The alternative, for Camus, was to dismiss the world and lead an active, heroic life. The hero of ordinary life is the person who resolutely shoulders the responsibilities that life imposes, knowing full well that all is futile and meaningless, an attitude that is
How do you become
exemplified in
mod?
the essay The Myth of Sisyphus. In Greek mythology,
You push the rock up
Sisyphus
the hill.
was a rogue hero who delighted in tricking the gods. When death, Thanatos, came for him, Sisyphus tied him up.
What is the
and no
audio
one
from?
died until
Internet
Zeus
Archive.
intervened. Sisyphus was then taken to Hades, but won a temporary leave so that he could return to the world.
I hope it's
punish
not
his
AI
wife for not
generated.
giving
I'd
him
be
proper
really
burial.
sad if it was. But
Actually,
if it is,
Sisyphus
maybe
had
it will
instructed
hammer
her
my
to
point
throw
home
his body
further.
into the street so that he had an excuse for returning. Once free of Hades, he refused to return and finally died of old age. The gods were so furious that, through all eternity, they required Sisyphus to roll a huge stone up a hill,
It sounds like it,
only to
yeah.
have it
And you know what?
plunge
Maybe
back
that's
down
maybe
once it
that
reached
makes the
crest.
point. Maybe that makes the
The
point.
divine plan was to keep Sisyphus too busy to plan another escape. But Camus
Striker,
uses the
he
case
modded
to
you, but I
illustrate
think
the
he modded the
absurdity
wrong
of all
account.
human existence and
Oh, I might have
concludes,
modded it, yeah.
one must imagine Sisyphus happy in the act of doing. The Myth of Sisyphus, from an absurd reasoning, The Myth of Sisyphus by Albert Camus, translated by Justin O'Brien. Copyright 1955.
Well, it doesn't have to be
by
AI. It
Alfred
could
A.
just be
Knopf,
like a
Inc.
speech bot, a
There
text-to-speech
is
bot.
but one truly serious philosophical problem, and that is suicide. Judging whether life is or is not worth living amounts to answering the fundamental question of philosophy. All the rest, whether or not the world has 3 dimensions, whether the mind has 9 or 12 categories, comes afterwards. Those are games. One must first answer this. And if it is true, as Nietzsche claims, that a philosopher, to deserve our respect, must preach by example, you can appreciate the importance of that reply, for it will precede the definitive act. These are facts the heart can feel, yet they call for careful study before they become clear to the intellect. If I ask myself how to judge that this question is more urgent than that, I reply that one judges by the actions it entails. I have never seen anyone die for the ontological argument. Galileo, who held a scientific truth of great importance, abjured it with the greatest ease as soon as it endangered his life. In a certain sense, he did right. That truth was not worth the stake. Whether the earth or the sun revolves around the other is a matter of profound indifference. To tell the truth, it is a futile question. On the other hand, I see many people die because they judge that life is not worth living. I see others paradoxically getting killed for the ideas or illusions that give them a reason for living. What is called a reason for living is also an excellent reason for dying. I therefore conclude that the meaning of life is the most urgent of questions. How to answer it? On all essential problems, I mean thereby those that run the risk of leading to death or those that intensify the passion of living, there are probably but 2 methods of thought, the method of La Palisse and the method of Don Quixote. Surely the balance between evidence and lyricism can allow us to achieve simultaneously emotion and lucidity. In a subject at once so humble and so heavy with emotion, the learned and classical dialectic must yield, one can see, to a more modest attitude of mind, deriving at one and the same time from common sense and understanding. Suicide has never been dealt with except as a social phenomenon. On the contrary, we are concerned here at the outset with the relationship between individual thought and suicide. An act like this is prepared within the silence of the heart, as is a great work of art. The man himself is ignorant of it. One evening he pulls the trigger or jumps. Of an apartment building manager who had killed himself, I was told that he had lost his daughter 5 years before, that he had changed greatly since, and that that experience had undermined him. A more exact word cannot be imagined. Beginning to think is beginning to be undermined.
Oh, who got mod?
Society has but little connection with such beginnings. The worm is
You
in
can just
man's
check the
heart.
Discord.
That is where it must be sought. One must follow and understand this fatal game that leads from lucidity in the face of existence to flight from light. There are many causes for a suicide, and generally the
I
most
think the
obvious
parrot
ones
got it.
were not the most powerful. Rarely is suicide committed, yet the hypothesis is not excluded through reflection. What sets off the crisis is almost always unverifiable. Newspapers often speak of personal sorrows or of incurable illness. These explanations are plausible, but one would have to know whether a friend of the desperate man had not that very day addressed him indifferently. He is the guilty one, for that is enough to precipitate all the rancors and all the boredom still in suspension. But if it is hard to fix the precise instant, the subtle step when the mind opted for death, it is easier to deduce from the act itself the consequences it implies. In a sense, and as in melodrama, killing yourself amounts to confessing. It is confessing that life is too much for you or that you do not understand it. Let's not go too far in such analogies, however, but rather return to everyday words. It is merely confessing that that is not worth the trouble.
Big fan of whatever
Living
this
naturally is
text-to-speech
never
thing is
easy.
about.
You continue making the gestures commanded by existence.
This is
for
the
many
myth of
reasons,
this is the myth
first
of
which is
Sisyphus
habit.
by Albert Camus.
Dying voluntarily implies that you have recognized, even instinctively, the ridiculous character of that
I'm not even
habit,
sure if it's
the
the
absence
complete
of
thing,
any
but we'll see.
profound reason for living, the insane character of that daily agitation, and the uselessness of suffering. What, then, is that incalculable feeling that deprives the mind of the sleep necessary to life? A world that can be explained even with bad reasons is a familiar world. But on the other hand, in a universe suddenly divested of illusions and lights, man feels an alien, a stranger. His exile is without remedy, since he is deprived of the memory of a lost home or the hope of a promised land. This divorce between man and his life, the actor and his setting, is properly the feeling of absurdity. All healthy men having thought of their own suicide, it can be seen without further explanation that there is a direct connection between this feeling and the longing for death. The subject of this essay is precisely this relationship between the absurd and suicide, the exact degree to which suicide is a solution to the absurd. About 10 paragraphs are omitted here. All great deeds and all great
What?
thoughts have a ridiculous
Why did they
beginning.
omit 10 paragraphs?
Great
This
works
sucks.
are often born on a street corner
Oh.
or in a restaurant's revolving door. So it is with absurdity. The absurd world more than others derives its nobility from that abject birth. In certain situations, replying nothing when asked what one is thinking about may be pretense in a man. Those who are loved are well aware of this, but if that reply is sincere, if it symbolizes that odd state of soul in which the void becomes eloquent, in which the chain of daily gestures is broken, in which the heart vainly seeks the link that will connect it again, then it is as it were the first sign of absurdity. It happens that the stage sets collapse. Rising, streetcar, 4 hours in the office or the factory, meal, streetcar, 4 hours of work.
It
meal,
is, but
sleep,
it's myth of
Monday,
Sisyphus, but it's
Tuesday, Wednesday,
incomplete.
Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
They
according
omitted
to the
10
same rhythm.
paragraphs for
This
some
path
reason.
is
God,
easily
this
followed
sucks.
most of the time. But one day the why arises, and everything begins in that weariness tinged with amazement. Begins, this is important. Weariness comes at the end of the acts of a mechanical life, but at the same time it inaugurates the impulse of consciousness. It awakens consciousness and provokes what follows. What follows is the gradual return into the chain, or it is the definitive awakening. At the end of the awakening comes, in time, the consequence, suicide or recovery. In itself, wariness has something sickening about it. Here, I must conclude that it is good, for everything begins with consciousness, and nothing is worth anything except through it. There is nothing original about these remarks, but they are obvious. That is enough for a while, during a sketchy reconnaissance in the origins of the absurd. Mere anxiety, as Heidegger says, is at the source of everything. Likewise, and during every day of an unillustrious life, time carries us. But a moment always comes when we have to carry it. We live on the future. Tomorrow, later on, when you have made your way, you will understand when you are old enough. Such irrelevancies are wonderful, for after all, it's a matter of dying. Yet a day comes when a man notices or says that he is 30. Thus he asserts his youth, but simultaneously he situates himself in relation to time. He takes his place in it. He admits that he stands at a certain point on a curve that he acknowledges having to travel to its end. He belongs to time, and by the horror that seizes him, he recognizes his worst enemy. Tomorrow, he was longing for tomorrow, whereas everything in him ought to reject it. That revolt of the flesh is the absurd. A step lower and strangeness creeps in, perceiving that the world is dense, sensing to what a degree a stone is foreign and irreducible to us, with what intensity nature or a landscape can negate us. At the heart of all beauty lies something inhuman, and these hills, the softness of the sky, the outline of these trees at this very minute lose the illusory meaning with which we had clothed them, henceforth more remote than a lost paradise. The primitive hostility of the world rises up to face us across millennia. For a second we cease to understand it, because for centuries we have understood in it solely the images and designs that we had attributed to it beforehand, because henceforth we lack the power to make use of that artifice. The world evades us because it becomes itself again. That stage scenery masked by habit becomes again what it is. It withdraws at a distance from us. Just as there are days when under the familiar face of a woman, we see as a stranger
One
her
must
we had
imagine
loved months
Sisyphus
or years
drinking
ago.
3 shots of
Perhaps
Jack
we
and
shall come
smoking
even
a
to
pack of
desire what
Newports to
suddenly
dull the
leaves us
pain.
so alone. But the time has not yet
I
come.
mean,
Just one
Albert
thing,
was definitely
that denseness and that strangeness
a
of
big
the
fan
world
of
is
that.
the absurd. Men, too, secrete the inhuman. At certain moments of lucidity, the mechanical aspect of their gestures, their meaningless pantomime, makes silly everything that surrounds them. A man is talking on the telephone behind a glass partition. You cannot hear him, but you see his incomprehensible, dumb show. You wonder why he is alive. This discomfort in the face of man's own inhumanity, this incalculable tumble before the image of what we are, this nausea, as a writer of today calls it, is also the absurd. Likewise, the stranger who at certain seconds comes to meet us in a mirror, the familiar and yet alarming brother we encounter in our own photographs, is also the absurd. I come at last to death and to the attitude we have toward it. On this point, everything has been said, and it is only proper to avoid pathos. Yet one will never be sufficiently surprised that everyone lives as if no one knew. This is because in reality there is no experience of death. Properly speaking, nothing has been experienced but what has been lived and made conscious. Here, it is barely possible to speak of the experience of others' deaths. It is a substitute, an illusion, and it never quite convinces us. That melancholy convention cannot be persuasive. The horror comes in reality from the mathematical aspect of the event. If time frightens us, this is because it works out the problem and the solution comes afterward. All the pretty speeches about the soul will have their contrary convincingly proved, at least for a time. From this inert body on which a slap makes no mark, the soul has disappeared. This elementary and definitive aspect of the adventure constitutes the absurd feeling. Under the fatal lighting of that destiny, its uselessness becomes evident. No code of ethics and no effort are justifiable a priori in the face of the cruel mathematics that command our condition. Let me repeat, all this has been said over and over. I am limiting myself here to making a rapid classification and to pointing out these obvious themes. They run through all literatures and all philosophies. Everyday conversation feeds on them. There is no question of reinventing them. But it is essential to be sure of these facts in order to be able to question oneself subsequently on the primordial question. I am interested, let me repeat again, not so much in absurd discoveries as in their consequences. If one is assured of these facts, what is one to conclude? How far is one to go to elude nothing? Is one to die voluntarily or to hope in spite of everything? Beforehand, it is necessary to take the same rapid inventory on the plane of the intelligence. The mind's first step is to distinguish what is true from what is false. However, as soon as thought reflects on itself, what it first discovers is a contradiction. Useless to strive to be convincing in this case. Over the centuries, no one has furnished a clearer and more elegant demonstration of the business than Aristotle. The often ridiculed consequence of these opinions is that they destroy themselves. For by asserting that all is true, we assert the truth of the contrary assertion, and consequently the falsity of our own thesis. For the contrary assertion does not admit that it can be true. And if one says that all is false, that assertion is itself false. If we declare that solely the assertion opposed to ours is false, or else that solely ours is not false, we are nevertheless forced to admit an infinite number of true or false judgments. For the one who expresses a true assertion proclaims simultaneously that it is true, and so on ad infinitum. This vicious circle is but the first of a series in which the mind that studies itself gets lost in a giddy whirling. The very simplicity of these paradoxes makes them irreducible. Whatever may be the plays on words and the acrobatics of logic, to understand is, above all, to unify. The mind's deepest desire, even in its most elaborate operations, parallels man's unconscious feeling in the face of his universe. It is an insistence upon familiarity, an appetite for clarity. Understanding the world for a man is reducing it to the human, stamping it with his seal. The cat's universe is not the universe of the anthill. The truism, all thought is anthropomorphic, has no other meaning. Likewise, the mind that aims to understand reality can consider itself satisfied only by reducing it to terms of thought. If man realized that the universe like him can love and suffer, he would be reconciled. If thought discovered in the shimmering mirrors of phenomena eternal relations capable of summing them up and summing themselves up in a single principle, then would be seen an intellectual joy of which the myth of the blessed would be but a ridiculous imitation. That nostalgia for unity, that appetite for the absolute, illustrates the essential impulse of the human drama. But the fact of that nostalgia's existence does not imply that it is to be immediately satisfied. For if, bridging the gulf that separates desire from conquest, we assert with Parmenides the reality of the one, whatever it may be, we fall into the ridiculous contradiction of a mind that asserts total unity and proves by its very assertion its own difference and the diversity it claimed to resolve. This other vicious circle is enough to stifle our hopes. These are again truisms. I shall again repeat that they are not interesting in themselves, but in the consequences that can be deduced from them. I know another truism. It tells me that man is mortal. One can nevertheless count the minds that have deduced the extreme conclusions from it. It is essential to consider as a constant point of reference in this essay the regular hiatus between what we fancy we know and what we really know, practical assent and simulated ignorance, which allows us to live with ideas which, if we truly put them to the test, ought to upset our whole life. Faced with this inextricable contradiction of the mind, we shall fully grasp the divorce separating us from our own creations. So long as the mind keeps silent in the motionless world of its hopes, everything is reflected and arranged in the unity of its nostalgia. But with its first move, this world cracks and tumbles. An infinite number of shimmering fragments is offered to the understanding. We must despair of ever reconstructing the familiar, calm surface which would give us peace of heart. After so many centuries of inquiries, so many abdications among thinkers, we are well aware that this is true for all our knowledge. With the exception of professional rationalists, today people despair of true knowledge. If the only significant history of human thought were to be written, it would have to be the history of its successive regrets and its impotences. Of whom and of what indeed can I say? I know that. This heart within me I can feel, and I judge that it exists. This world I can touch, and I likewise judge that it exists. There ends all my knowledge, and the rest is construction. For if I try to seize this self of which I feel sure, if I try to define and to summarize it, it is nothing but water slipping through my fingers. I can sketch one by one all the aspects it is able to assume, all those likewise that have been attributed to it, this upbringing, this origin, this ardor or these silences, this nobility or this vileness. But aspects cannot be added up. This very heart which is mine will forever remain indefinable to me. Between the certainty I have of my existence and the content I try to give to that assurance, the gap will never be filled. Forever I shall be a stranger to myself. In psychology as in logic, there are truths but no truth. Socrates' "Know thyself" has as much value as the "Be virtuous" of our confessionals. They reveal a nostalgia at the same time as an ignorance. They are sterile exercises on great subjects. They are legitimate only in precisely so far as they are approximate. And here are trees and I know their gnarled surface, water and I feel its taste. These scents of grass and stars at night, certain evenings when
Could
the heart
ending
relaxes.
Sisyphus smokes the rock?
How shall
Well,
I negate this world
he
whose
wouldn't.
power and
He would
strength
never.
I feel? Yet all the knowledge on earth will give me nothing to assure me that this world is mine. You describe it to me and you teach me to classify it. You enumerate its laws, and in my thirst for knowledge, I admit that they are true. You take apart its mechanism, and my hope increases. At the final stage, you teach me that this wondrous and multicolored universe can be reduced to the atom, and that the atom itself can be reduced to the electron. All this is good, and I wait for you to continue. But you tell me of an invisible planetary system in which electrons gravitate around a nucleus. You explain this world to me with an image. I realize then that you have been reduced to poetry. I shall never know. Have I the time to become indignant? You have already changed theories. So that science that was to teach me everything ends up in a hypothesis.
He's not an addict.
that
No, he is.
lucidity
He's just
founders
addicted to
in
something
metaphor,
else.
That uncertainty is resolved in a work of art. What need had I of so many efforts? The soft lines of these hills and the hand of evening on this troubled heart teach me much more. I have returned to my beginning. I realize that if through science I can seize phenomena and enumerate them, I cannot, for all that, apprehend the world. Were I to trace its entire relief with my finger, I should not know any more. And you give me the choice between a description that is sure, but that teaches me nothing, and hypotheses that claim to teach men, but that are not sure. A stranger to myself and to the world, armed solely with a thought that negates itself as soon as it asserts, what is this condition in which I can have peace only by refusing to know and to live, in which the appetite for conquest bumps into walls that defy its assaults? To will is to stir up paradoxes. Everything is ordered in such a way as to bring into being that poisoned peace produced by thoughtlessness, lack of heart, or fatal renunciations. Hence the intelligence, too, tells me in its way that this world is absurd. Its contrary, blind reason, may well claim that all is clear. I was waiting for proof and longing for it to be right. But despite so many pretentious centuries, and over the heads of so many eloquent and persuasive men, I know that is false. On this plane, at least, there is no happiness if I cannot know. That universal reason, practical or ethical, that determinism, those categories that explain everything are enough to make a decent man laugh. They have nothing to do with the mind. They negate its profound truth, which is to be enchained. In this unintelligible and limited universe, man's fate henceforth assumes its meaning. A horde of irrationals has sprung up and surrounds him until his ultimate end. In his recovered and now studied lucidity, the feeling of the absurd becomes clear and definite. I said that the world is absurd, but I was too hasty. This world in itself is not reasonable, that is all that can be said. But what is absurd is the confrontation of this irrational and the wild longing for clarity whose call echoes in the human heart. The absurd depends as much on man as on the world. For the moment, it is all that links them together. It binds them one to the other, as only hatred can weld two creatures together. This is all I can discern clearly in this measureless universe where my adventure takes place. Let us pause here. If I hold to be true that absurdity that determines my relationship with life, if I become thoroughly imbued with that sentiment that seizes me in face of the world's scenes, with that lucidity imposed on me by the pursuit of a science, I must sacrifice everything to these certainties, and I must see them squarely to be able to maintain them. Above all, I must adapt my behavior to them and pursue them in all their consequences. I'm speaking here of decency, but I want to know beforehand if thought can live in those deserts. The following is an essay entitled The Myth of Sisyphus, which is from the book entitled The Myth of Sisyphus by Albert Camus. The essay, The Myth of Sisyphus, is presented here in its entirety. The gods had condemned Sisyphus to ceaselessly rolling a rock up to the top of a mountain, whence the stone would fall back of its own weight. They had thought with some reason that there is no more dreadful punishment than futile and hopeless labor. If one believes Homer, Sisyphus was the wisest and most prudent of mortals. According to another tradition, however, he was disposed to practice the profession of highwayman. I see no contradiction in this. Opinions differ as to why he became the futile laborer of the underworld. To begin with, he is accused of a certain levity in regard to the gods. He stole their secrets. Gina, the daughter of Sopus, was carried off by Jupiter. The father was shocked by that disappearance and complained to Sisyphus. He, who knew of the abduction, offered to tell about it on condition that Sopus would give water to the citadel of Corinth. To the celestial thunderbolts he preferred the benediction of water. He was punished for this in the underworld. Homer tells us also that Sisyphus had put death in chains. Pluto could not endure the sight of his deserted
Just
silent
hopped on
empire.
and thought you
He dispatched
went
the
through
god
a
of
second
war,
puberty.
who liberated death from the hands of her conqueror.
No more puberties
Just
for me.
hopped
It
on
is
and
said
thought
also
you
that Sisyphus,
went
being
through
near
a second
death,
puberty.
rashly
No
wanted
more
to
of those
test
for
his
me, no
wife's
more.
love. He ordered her to cast his unburied body into the middle of the public square. Sisyphus woke up in the underworld, and there, annoyed by an obedience so contrary to human love, he obtained from Pluto permission to return to Earth in order to chastise his wife. But when he had seen again the face of this world, enjoyed water and sun, warm stones in the sea, he no longer wanted to go back to the infernal darkness. Recalls, signs of anger,
Twink
warnings
death.
were of no avail. Many years more he lived facing the curve of the gulf, the sparkling sea, and the smiles of earth. A decree of the gods was necessary. Mercury came and seized the impudent man by the collar, and snatching him from his joys, led him forcibly back to the underworld where his rock was ready for him. You have already grasped that Sisyphus is the absurd hero. He is as much so through his passions as through his torture. His scorn of the gods, his hatred of death, and his passion for life won him that unspeakable penalty in which the whole being is exerted toward accomplishing nothing. This is the price that must be paid for the passions of this earth. Nothing is told us about Sisyphus in the underworld. Myths are made for the imagination to breathe life into them. As for this myth, one sees merely the whole effort of a body straining to raise the huge stone, to roll it and push it up a slope 100 times over. One sees the face screwed up, the cheek tight against the stone, the shoulder bracing the clay-covered mass, the foot wedging it, the fresh start with arms outstretched, the wholly human security of two earth-clotted hands. At the very end of his long effort measured by skyless space and time without depth, the purpose is achieved. Then Sisyphus watches the stone rush down in a few moments toward that lower world, whence he will have to push it up again toward the summit. He goes back down to the plain. It is during that return, that pause, that Sisyphus interests me. A face that toils so close to stones is already stone itself. I see that man going back down with a heavy, yet measured step toward the torment of which he will never know the end. That hour, like a breathing space which returns as surely as his suffering, that is the hour of consciousness. At each of those moments when he leaves the heights and gradually sinks toward the lairs of the gods, he is superior to his fate. He is stronger than his rock. If this myth is tragic, that is because its hero is conscious. Where would his torture be, indeed, if at every step the hope of succeeding upheld him? The workman of today works every day in his life at the same tasks, and this fate is no less absurd. But it is tragic only at the rare moments when it becomes conscious. Sisyphus, proletarian of the gods, powerless and rebellious, knows the whole extent of his wretched condition. It is what he thinks of during his descent. The lucidity that was to constitute his torture at the same time crowns his victory. There is no fate that cannot be surmounted by scorn. If the descent is thus sometimes performed in sorrow, it can also take place in joy. This word is not too much. Again, I fancy Sisyphus returning toward his rock, and the sorrow was in the beginning. When the images of earth cling too tightly to memory, when the call of happiness becomes too insistent, it happens that melancholy rises in man's heart. This is the rock's victory. This is the rock itself. The boundless grief is too heavy to bear. These are our nights of Gethsemane, but crushing truths perish from being acknowledged. Thus, Oedipus at the outset obeys fate without knowing it, but from the moment he knows, his tragedy begins. Yet at the same moment, blind and desperate, he realizes that the only bond linking him to the world is the cool hand of a girl. Then a tremendous remark rings out. Despite so many ordeals, my advanced age and the nobility of my soul make me conclude that all is well. Sophocles' Oedipus, like Dostoevsky's Kirillov, thus gives the recipe for the absurd victory. Ancient wisdom confirms modern heroism. One does not discover the absurd without being tempted to write a manual of happiness. What, by such narrow ways? There is but one world, however. Happiness and the absurd are two sons of the same earth. They are inseparable. It would be a mistake to say that happiness necessarily springs from the absurd discovery. It happens as well that the feeling of the absurd springs from happiness. I conclude that all is well, says Oedipus, and that remark is sacred. It echoes in the wild and limited universe of man. It teaches that all is not, has not been, exhausted. It drives out of this world a God who had come into it with dissatisfaction and a preference for futile sufferings. It makes of fate a human matter, which must be settled among men. All Sisyphus' silent joy is contained therein. His fate belongs to him. His rock is his thing. Likewise, the absurd man, when he contemplates his torment, silences all the idols. In the universe suddenly restored to its silence, the myriad wondering little voices of the earth rise up. Unconscious, secret calls, invitations from all the faces, they are the necessary reverse and price of victory. There is no sun without shadow, and it is essential to know the night. The absurd man says yes, and his effort will henceforth be unceasing. If there is a personal fate, there is no higher destiny, or at least there is but one which he concludes is inevitable and despicable. For the rest, he knows himself to be the master of his days. At that subtle moment when man glances backward over his life, Sisyphus returning toward his rock, in that slight pivoting he contemplates that series of unrelated actions which becomes his fate, created by him, combined under his memory's eye and soon sealed by his death. Thus, convinced of the wholly human origin of all that is human, a blind man eager to see who knows that the night has no end, he is still on the go. The rock is still rolling. I leave Sisyphus at the foot of the mountain. One always finds one's burden again. But Sisyphus teaches the higher fidelity that negates the gods and raises rocks. He too concludes that all is well. This universe henceforth without a master seems to him neither sterile nor futile. Each atom of that stone, each mineral flake of that night-filled mountain, in itself forms a world. The struggle itself toward the heights is enough to fill a man's heart. One must imagine Sisyphus happy.
Oh, that sucked. Oh. That wasn't a very good reading, personally. I didn't actually check the quality of the reading. I just was like, I want to pick one that I don't think will copy strike me or whatever. Said it again. And this seemed to be that. And I know it's a bit short today. That's because I have a lot of things to do. And you'll see some of it, and you won't see most of it. A lot of things to do. I leave this conclusion relatively short, unlike most of my other streams, because I want to spend a bit of time, I just want it to be right here, just right at the bottom, at the foot of the mountain, with Sisyphus. I wanted to roll the rock up the mountain, but I also wanted to push it down. I wanted to be, I wanted to master it. I wanted to not be afraid, maybe, of it rolling down. And you kind of, you know, one of the only ways you can really do that is by pushing it yourself. That's how you get over it, isn't it? It's one of the ways. One of the other ways is to just sort of accept it. But I find there's a sense of empowerment that comes in pushing it down the hill too. So what now? Now what? We got to the peak of the summit. Just for it to come down again. What will we do? What is there left to do? I want to venture the guess that, well, one of the things you can do is to push the rock down yourself. Go through it. Why not? Give it a kick or two. The other way I can imagine it, really, is by pushing it back up again. How do you do it? Oh, how do I? But I can't. I've already done it. I've already got the new rock. Well, here's how you do it. You just push it back up again. There's not much else to do. What do you do when you have to push a rock up a hill? But like at the same time, right? Why do you need more things to do? Would you be happier if the rock had sound effects and had an LP there that was attached to it that, you know, every time you push the rock up a little bit, you get plus 20 LP, like plus 26 LP. And then when it rolls back down, it's like minus 30. So you're not even climbing. And then you get to the top. Now what? On top of it and do a little circus trick. You can kind of do that for a little bit and then you fall off. Like, I think the rock gains too much momentum and that doesn't carry for you, I think. I'll show you what I mean. Yeah, like that's like the extent of which you can do it. That's beautiful, isn't it? Just watching it go down like that. I guess maybe there is one last thing to do. God damn it, Charis Euphranor. One more thing? It's only been an hour in and you're ending stream? Well, why do I have to stream for a very long time? I have to stream for less. I have to stream and then have it edited down to like 20 minutes so it's more, you know, consumable. Oh, no, I don't have to do that. All I have to do is push the rock up the hill. That's all I have to do. In many ways, and you know, the recording we listened to just now was not complete entirely, I think. I think they omitted some parts of the text from what I can gather. But do you see what I mean when I say, like, I don't know if I agree. Well, maybe you don't see that part, but you definitely, at least, even if you do disagree, in this maybe in a similar way that I do, how the Camus has captures a vibe that makes sense, even if you intellectually kind of go like, I don't know if that's how exactly the world I want to see is. And even if you have those disagreements, you nonetheless find it very compelling. I think that's one of the reasons why the myth of Sisyphus, right, and particularly that ending quote, you know, is so I want to say sensationalized. It's so like captured in the pop culture zeitgeist. We love the image of Sisyphus. We love one must imagine Sisyphus happy, one must imagine Sisyphus happy, one must imagine Sisyphus. It's like, it's a funny thing to say. But I don't think there's enough of a really, like, not just an, I'm not saying an intellectual understanding of it. That's not even what I'm saying. Normally, that's what I say. Normally, I say, oh, like, people don't understand what they're saying, and I don't like it because I'm the philosopher VTuber and I need to be pretentious because it's a bit of my part of a character, but also it's some part of me that, like, I don't like to admit to because I think it's a little gross. But no, I think it goes beyond the memes, you know. It goes beyond the haha rock go up or rock go down. When you really stare at it long enough, it's the feeling that it's not a journey. Is it a journey? It's precisely like it's almost like an anti-journey in a way. You're not going anywhere. Or wherever you're going, you end back up, you know, at the beginning anyways, where it feels like not in a way that's like satisfying, mind you, not in a way that's like extremely like, wow, I did it, like I did all those things, and then I set out from home on an adventure, and then I came back from home because, you know, or I came back to home after that adventure. And I realized that, you know, that's where I wanted to be the most, you know. Like, it's not like that. It's not that type of like ending of a story, really. When the rock rolls back down, there's the despair that comes with it. There's like the fruitlessness, the all of my efforts are wasted. The like, none of this mattered. Like, what? I can't see any tangible progress. That's frustrating, but also existential. And, you know, now here, as we can see, hopefully, and then when I use the word, I hope it is to speak some sense to the matter, it's a bit absurd. If I'm gonna do all this pushing to just have it go up, ow. If I'm gonna do all this pushing to have it go up, why do I want it to come back down again? It's terrifying. I think one of the things that makes this game so scary, or like not this game obviously, but you know, the concept of this, the myth maybe, so terrifying, is because we want to hope that we can push the rock up the mountain. We want to hope that there's like a big achievement, that there's like a Zeus going like, wow, congratulations, you've done it, you've unlocked a new ball. In many ways, I think this game fails to capture that, because it does give you this. When you get it up right to the beginning, or right to the summit, Zeus is there going like, congratulations, you beat the game. And then you go back to the main menu and there's like coins, and then you unlock new rocks with the coins, so you're incentivized to beat it again. Like, that's not right. That's not truly absurd, isn't it? What's truly absurd is hopefully what I tried to, you know, a correction for what I wanted to do. That is to say, to finally think that I got to the top just to push it back down again. Or to see it fall down again, maybe. Completely out of my control. I think there was a part of it that was embracing this fall that I did. That was a sort of maybe I don't want to say it's the author's note for the game that, you know, someone else made. Like, I'm adding in an author's note as if I was part of the dev team. I'm not. I think the game was fine overall, but I do think what this game kind of fails to capture is precisely the fear that I'm gonna get the rock up so high and then it's gonna fall back down again. That's terrifying, because I don't want it to go back down again. I put all the effort into having it go up. Again, I disagree with the premise that is what's going on. Like, objectively, like, maybe not I was gonna say objectively speaking, that's a terrible mistake to me. This is a terrible mistake to me, so pardon me. But I do have disagreements with the way Camus sees the world through the lens of Sisyphus. But nonetheless, I feel it, you know? I do feel it. And that's what I kind of wanted to do this whole week, actually, I guess. I didn't want, you know, or maybe that is supplementary. I think an intellectual understanding of the myth of Sisyphus, you know, and to that extent, Camus' absurdism, is good. But it's ultimately, I think, supplementary. I think the thing I really wanted you to feel, and I don't think I captured it quite well enough. But the thing I really wanted you to feel, or try to put you in the headspace to feel, is the experience of Sisyphus himself. We imagine him happy. We imagine that the rock was enough to fill his heart. When we think about the third person of the tale, of the myth, we make sense of his, or we try to explain our real life circumstances with, you know, our literary understanding, maybe. That's kind of what the, you know, that's one of the, you wouldn't be faulted too much for saying that's the point of it, right? That's the point of the creation of our art, is for us to be able to relate to our own lived experience better. And that's not something an essay could ever teach you, I think. That's not something ever like a lecture could bring you closer to. There's so many save points, you don't restart all that far back, so the fear was never there. Yeah, that's one of the things that the shortcomings of this game, I think. By providing a goal with the coins and new builder is no longer absurd. I don't think that it's no longer absurd. I think it's missing the point of like evoking that feeling, because it ultimately is absurd, but you're distracted by it that you don't realize that it is. That's the issue. That's what I take issue with, because it ultimately, or at least, you know, if you want to argue from Camus' point of view, it is absurd. Everything is absurd. The fact that I'm playing a video game where all I'm getting is like, it's just a flashier screen, that's like nothing. That, or like a different colored ball for when I launch the video game again. Like, what the fuck am I doing? What the hell? What do I get from this game? Like, or like, is there anything to get at all? Is there any truth to the rock? Is there any truth to this experience beyond, oh, the ice level was kind of bullshit? I feel like the game, in implementing these features, distracts you from the absurdity too much, the experience. And it's something I wanted to bring back, maybe, or wanted to bring to some sort of attention. Now, I don't know how to do it, because I'm not an absurdist. And I'm not that familiar with Camus' work enough to be able to make creative, interpretive, you know, forms of art that help to, that might help ultimately bring you to that place closer. I can't do that, or at least I can't do that yet, but I find it hard to conceive of what else a philosopher VTuber should be doing.
I made chicken Alfredo from memory, said memory being 4 years old, and it still worked out.
Nice. Congratulations, or good job on the chicken Alfredo. I don't know what I'll be eating tonight. I haven't eaten yet, but I haven't made anything. Maybe I'll make chicken as well. But well done, Azure. Anyways, that's the thing, the despair, the hopelessness, the anxiety, all of it. The thing that, you know, and I hope that it doesn't sound too, like, I hope it makes sense what I'm saying. But it's also not just a fun feeling you can just kind of get as a fun, isolated experience. Like, oh wow, so that's what it's like to be a philosopher. Okay, let me just go back to my work. No. This shit is serious. This shit might be the most serious thing ever. It's like, it's that like essence. It's that thing that is so powerful that, you know, people have been pushed to death by it. And of course, you know, the easy thing to say is, well, oh, that's bad. I don't, you know, never kill yourself. Say it, you can say it in the GG Marine way as well. You can do that, you know, but, you know, I'm not asking you to intellectually grasp why suicide bad. Here's 10 reasons why. I think that's what a lot of philosophers tend to do. Is they try to just, you know, and in the essay as well, make sense of it all, put it into ideas, make it something digestible. It's a trap, I think, you know, non-intellectuals and intellectuals both make. trying to rationalize all of it, trying to make sense of it all, trying to get the meaning and the despair and through like something, and then realizing there's nothing there. Again, I'm trying my best to get you into a headspace I personally don't think is, I think personally disagree with, but it's nonetheless educational and I think very valuable to at least be there, right? But, you know, this is the kind of shit, or rather the kind of shit that like makes me just want to play the Sisyphus game for the rest of my life, is the type of Twitter comment that's like, why doesn't Sisyphus just kill himself? Why doesn't he just drop the rock on his hill? Why doesn't he just drop the rock on his head and then crush himself? Or like, why doesn't he just not push it? Why doesn't he just go away from the mountain and then do something else? Why doesn't he smash the boulder? Why doesn't he break the boulder into little pieces? Why doesn't he use the boulder as like why doesn't he, you know, you gotta see where it's coming from. This is where it's coming from. I think it's very powerful where it's coming from. You deprive yourself of the opportunity to see if it will get better, and you lose out on experiencing the things that you want to try. Yes, I agree. But I'm not trying to intellectualize, I'm not trying to rationalize this, because I think that's, we've done enough of that already, haven't we? I'm just trying to feel it. I'm trying to put myself there. And that's a profoundly much more difficult task than just delivering a lecture on Albert Camus. I could have just delivered a lecture on Albert Camus. I could have done that. I'm not even that good at it, but I could have. But I didn't want to do that. I didn't think that was what I want. That didn't feel like it. I feel like that missed the point. You know what I mean? I feel like that missed a bit of the point. In essence, I think maybe if I were to sum it up this way, it would make it a bit more digestible, right? Because I guess we're in the interest of that forever, and that's never going away. I want my first 3 streams were were just an existentialist experience. That's what I was trying to capture. My getting over it stream was just a getting over it stream, and it sucks. So just ignore that. Just purge that from your memory, okay? Or maybe not. Maybe try to rationalize in your head why I did that. And the last 2 streams, which would be yesterday's stream and today's stream, where we push the rock up the hill, and then we push the rock down the hill. Hopefully brings something out of you. And if it doesn't, well, that's fine. But I hope you see what I was trying to do, maybe. Or what was, I think, an interesting way to tackle this game and this like theme in general. This isn't the last time I'll be playing this game. Or at least this type of game. It's not the last time, certainly, I'm pushing a rock up the hill either. But I did want to evoke a sense of finality here. Not just in like, oh, it's done, but like in a way that's like, why did I choose to play this game? Why did I do that? Why did I choose to not only play this game? Why did I choose to play it for a week? Why did I then try to angle it as an April Fool's joke? Because, you know, I started this on April 1st. Why is it so funny to watch Sisyphus? Like, why are the Sisyphus memes so funny? Like, what part of it is relatable? And why is it relatable? Why is it just the struggle, the suffering? Because that's the tale. The tale is the struggle, the suffering. That's the myth. That's what's going on. But the essay, that which we quote so much, that we must imagine him happy. What the fuck does that actually mean? I thought that would launch me. That sucks. And like, you know, we can keep making fun of it. We can like in a way that's like, you know, we're memeing on it. We can keep memeing on the fact, oh, one must imagine Sisyphus happy. One must imagine Sisyphus happy. Is that what absurdism actually is, or what it feels like? Like what the vibe is? No. And I wouldn't have been able to just get it by reading an essay, I think. I needed to simulate that experience in my head as clearly as possible and put myself in, well, maybe the lack of shoes, put myself in the loincloth of the big man himself. Personally, I found it quite fulfilling. I don't think I nonetheless still don't think I agree with the absurdist take on life. Again, my disagreements being my disagreements, but I can see how I can see where it's coming from, I want to say. And that's my hope, is I hope you disagree, actually. I hope you disagree, but not because you don't understand it, but precisely because you do. It's precisely because you understand the exact experience. You know what it is rationally, the position that he takes, but also, above all else, you know what it feels like, or at least you can kind of sympathize. You can try to put yourself in the loincloth of Sisyphus again too, to imagine what it's like. The absurdity of it all, the trudging up and down, the funny obstacle course that comes in the way. The other point was that Sisyphus isn't happy. Wasn't this his punishment in the underworld after he died from old age? He has no choice but to do this. Well, the point was that the point of the punishment is for it to be a punishment. The point is that it's eternal despair. That's the point. That's what the gods have decided to do with Sisyphus in the myth. And the interesting angle that Camus takes in his philosophy is that no, nonetheless, he is. Not because there's some secret, every time he gets up the hill, he gets coins that he can use to unlock a new, different shade of rock. Not because, you know, of the funny memes that come out of it. Not because of, he's insane or whatever. But because there is nothing but happiness when you truly, like, I suppose when you're pushing a rock up the hill. It's not like, I can't explain it without just, you know, trying to quote the paper. And at the moment, I don't have the paper on hand. So, like, you know, I don't want to misspeak. But, I will, here's the deal. Here's the more transparent, easier to understand, less abstract Charis Euphranor deal, okay? I'll probably record. The original idea was I could find the time to record myself reading through the whole essay and then play it back through the stream. But I just, due to time and budgetary constraints, I couldn't do it because I had shit to do. And I didn't realize how tiring it would be to push a rock up a hill, even in a video game. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to record that, and I'm going to have an analysis / like summary of how I feel towards the end as well. But originally I was going to have that play. I was going to play that just now during that sequence. I couldn't. This is purely a limitation of the technology of my time, I guess. If I want to make excuses. But it's precisely absurd because you would think that the point of his punishment was to make him sad. The point was for Sisyphus to be sad. Why the fuck would he be happy? It makes no sense. It makes no goddamn sense. I can't rationalize this in my head. Is he happy because there's some sort of meaning, maybe? Maybe there's some sort of internal meaning in the rock. Maybe there's some sort of a greater message. Maybe there's a sort of a value in the world in pushing this rock up the hill. Maybe I unlock more rocks to push. Maybe I can push 2 rocks instead of 1. Maybe something. I'm grasping at straws, trying to rationalize desperately my situation. That's what makes absurdism absurd. Is that you do all of that desperate grasping. You rationalize it as hard as you can. And I suppose all you get is a middle finger. But all you get is nothing. That's it. The rock is rolling back down the hill again. And you're at the top. Or you're near the top. What do you do? Well, you have to go back and go grab it, right? There's a nice lake there, huh? Great. There's a key for it? Yeah. I figured it out today. It's F. Probably for fuck you. I don't know. Does he just have no choice but to find fulfillment in his daily rock pushing because it gives him something to do? Sort of. How do I explain this? Like, it's not just something to do, it's precisely the thing that fills the soul. Like, it's not like, oh, well, I guess I'll just push the rock. Camus' point was that, no, this is the greatest thing to him, actually. Because arguably there's nothing else. So he must imagine that he's content and he's happy. It's absurd, so by definition doesn't make sense. It's a hard thing to grasp. That's what makes it philosophically. That's what makes it philosophical, right? Because it is philosophical. No, despite how it's being memed to death and back, and we all know the rock and the game and the hill and the funny memes that come from. Oh, okay, now what? I got it up that hill. Haha, isn't it relatable that life is struggling? But it's like it's more. The profundities of the essay, I think, are not to be glossed over as just, you know, one must imagine him happy, because that's not something that you can just sort of get, I guess. It's sort of like, it's one thing if I rationally tell you, like, if I give you maybe a multiple choice question, or maybe there's like 4 doors, you know, in front of you, and I tell you, none of these doors lead anywhere. Like, it's one thing for you to be like, oh, okay, I've been told that none of these doors lead anywhere, and it's been proven by Charis Euphranor, someone who knows better than me, etc., etc. It's another to go through all the 4 doors, or all the thousands of doors that are there, checking each and every one and seeing nothing there. Nothing behind it, I suppose. Like, and like it not leading anywhere, to anything. That's the feeling, and I think that feeling is invaluable. It's something that I think is missing in a lot of philosophy, I suppose, is the impression that it leaves on the soul is lacking. It's all just rationalization and trying to compartmentalize things and trying to put them into neat systems and boxes. I don't appreciate that personally. Or rather, I just think I don't like it. I don't like when we approach philosophical thought, or just things in general, life itself perhaps, from an arm's length. I don't like that. I think it's like, I just don't think it makes sense. Can you clip the boulder out of the bounds and push it up the mountain you're looking at? You can clip it out of bounds, but when that happens, it just respawns back on the track. So it can't stay out of bounds. You, however, as the character, can stay out of bounds, but I'm not sure if you stay out of bounds if you could walk to this mountain, because I think you just fall down at some point below the map and you can't really get back up when you're below the map, right? I'm not sure though. I haven't explored the full extent of the bugs in this game, but I'm not really, like, I don't have to do that. I don't care too much. Maybe we'll do it some other time. It's truly the soft science. Philosophy is truly the soft science for those who are uncomfortable not having all their questions answered. Well, I want to say that's what it is, but there are philosophy majors and philosophers, a lot of them who are very intelligent, who know more than me. There are a lot of philosophers out there, either who are already dead or are still living, who would disagree with me. And that's what makes it philosophy, I guess, right? Is like there is just no agreement, pretty much. It's one of the things that define it in its current state. Because someone's going to be like, no, actually, all the questions are answered, and I've answered them here in my perfect system. I have defined in perfect terms everything that could possibly exist. And if you ask me a question that doesn't make sense, well, it's not because, or if you ask me a question that you know, my system can't answer, it's not because my system is wrong, it's because your question makes no sense. I mean, you can look no further than towards the, you know, and I think it's brilliant work, but I think it's disagreeable work of Ludwig Wittgenstein, at least his earlier work, his Tractatus. Is something I disagree with very strongly, but is nonetheless, I think, brilliant. Like, I think it's true, it's incredible that anyone even did that, not to mention him and his circumstances. I think he wrote it in the trenches while he was fighting a war or something. Like, he was like a foot soldier, and in that time he was writing the draft for what was eventually the Tractatus. Fascinating stuff, really brilliant stuff I disagree with. Anyways, this sort of impersonal undertaking in philosophy is not something I agree with a lot, but is very prominent, very popular. And my disagreements cannot just be expressed rationally. I can't just go like, oh well, that, you know, this, your argument is bad and here's why, because no, the arguments are good. I just fail to see the point of the arguments and to put the world into, I fail to see the point of putting the world in the perfect box. Why do you want to put the world in a box? Is it because it makes you feel more powerful? Is it because it makes you feel more in control? Is that why? But you know that you're not in control. You know that you're not always in power. You know that to be the case. You know that to be true. Why are you running away from that truth? No, it's not that feeling. It's not about feelings. Facts don't care about your feelings. I'm just talking about the facts. I'm just talking about the rationalization of things and how I could, you know, how all this makes sense. This is the logic. This is the principal logic of which I operate in. You know, I want to put things in a box because it makes me feel like I have control of my life. Thank you for asking. That's literally it, but it's a lot of people. It's a lot of people, not just people, but a lot of brilliant, bright thinkers, intellectuals as well, that feel this way and think this way. And I don't want to, you know, my disagreements can't be like, you're wrong, because they're not wrong. This is just, I think, not my approach to one's existence in life should be. And I cannot express this as an argument because that defeats the purpose of it. I can't just keep arguing with you, like, because that's not, like, the point isn't to just, oh, finally through this argumentation we will find the capital T truth, objective truth, like that fucking guy that came in the street. He like lives in my head now. It's well, no, I don't know who this person is, but like that type of person lives in my head, you know, that thinks everything is an argument that can be solved. You know, when you all you have is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. Classic one guide. God, oh man, I'm a terrible streamer then if I'm getting one guide so consistently. I just like the shape of boxes. Yeah, you can look at them and think they're neat, but are you gonna let the boxes define your life? Because some people do. Some people let those boxes define their life. Let me use some water. Anyways, this has been a fairly long journey of pushing a rock up a hill. I hope that you enjoyed watching this. And yeah, that was the last thing I wanted to say before I had to go. I wanted to express my thoughts on just philosophies, non-existential philosophies, and how I think the reason why the absurdism, or at least the tale of Sisyphus, the myth of Sisyphus, is so compelling, is because I want to hope that it resonates. The precise discomfort we have as humans to just put everything into boxes, and including our own passions. Doesn't define my life with the caveat that the boxes are made of thermoplastic and can easily be molded and change shape. Well, then why put it in a box in the first place? What's the point of putting it in a box then? Long enough, 1 more hour. No, the journey's been long enough. The finale, the ending doesn't need to be too long either. I'm gonna leave you, not at the foot of the mountain. That's what Camus would. Camus would leave you at the foot of the mountain. I have left the rock at the foot of the mountain, but I will leave you at the summit of it. I'd leave you at the summit of the mountain, and I ask of you what to do next. This makes you feel like I can understand myself more, and this makes you feel like I know about myself. But you do. Raid time? Is there anyone to raid? Let's see. I wish that if I didn't tab out, the fucking music wouldn't stop playing, but like it does. Which is so unfortunate. Stream schedule soon. You'll get a schedule maybe like tomorrow, I think. I don't think I'll stream tomorrow. I think I'm gonna take tomorrow off. BGM back on. Let me check if any of my mutuals are streaming. No, the only one I'm subscribed to that's streaming is Elizabeth Rose Bloodflame, and I don't think she needs our help. I don't think she does. Can I like No, I'm not Sisyphus. I'm not really Sisyphus, honestly. Okay. But I won't be here tomorrow. But I might be here the day after. You'll hear from me tomorrow. You will hear from me tomorrow, but I won't be here tomorrow. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching all these fucking Sisyphus streams I did. Where I pushed a rock up a hill. Please don't watch the Getting Over It stream. It wasn't very good. But I hope the other Sisyphus streams were fun, at least. I don't know what's ahead of me right now, but that's okay. I'm not scared that there's nothing I can see in front of me.
Time for stream. And for all the streams this week, see.
I really did stream every day for this whole week. That's fucking... I should, like, right after I said that was a mistake, I'm never doing that again, I immediately was like, what if I did it again, though? But I'll be gone. It's not really a day off because it's not a job. Like, it's not like I'm clocking into the boulder pushing hours. I enjoy boulder pushing. It's a fun thing. I'm unwinding and relaxing, really. But yes, I will go away now and leave you at the summit. I hope you have gained something from all this, and if you didn't, then it is what it is. Whatever, I'll try again next time. And yeah, that's all. Have a good day. Keep pushing the rock up the hill. Never kill yourself. Nah, well, I hope like some of this, I hope there was an ounce of this that made sense. Okay, goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Oh yeah, and the Discord's been like, I've like modded some people, I think. I don't know, I've set all the things properly, but
Bye.
I've given that to some people. You can ask me again in the future to figure out how it works, but essentially my idea is like I'm gonna mod like one more person like every month, I think. I don't know. I'm still thinking it through. We'll see.